Today we're talking about seasonal dropout disorder, SDD. This is pretty serious stuff. I branded it, I came up with it as an observation of something that I noticed this year training people. What is up, people? Jean Carlos here with the Total Body Training Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about seasonal dropout disorder. Sounds kind of funny, right? All right, so let's get into it. Anytime that the season changes, there are opportunities for someone to either jump on track, get on track with fitness, or to fall off. And I noticed this specifically at the beginning of the summer and then at the start of the school year. So let's paint a picture. Someone starts up with me in January and they're doing really, really great. They're doing awesome. And hey, the season for them to drop out passes and they don't drop out. So that's actually the first bout with seasonal dropout disorder is around February. People just forget their fitness goals because they've got other stuff coming up and they just kind of evaporate and wait, right? But you didn't do that. And a lot of my clients didn't. They stayed on track. And where people ran into a complication is that around the time that summer rolled around, a lot of my clients are moms, they suddenly found themselves with new obligations and new priorities. So now you've got the kids at home, and maybe you didn't foresee that. Back in January, you weren't thinking, oh shit, I need to plan my schedule or try to find a way to, work around the kids being at home when they're at home in the summer. What do I do? And that right there is where we run into the seasonal dropout disorder. So people will suddenly drop out because they don't or didn't foresee themselves running into a little hiccup with their schedule. And I understand not everybody can make it to my class times here. Ideally though, when you run into the seasonal dropout disorder, you will find another way to make it happen. So maybe it's working out at home or doing something in another gym, going on your own, working out some kind of schedule. Maybe you need to get a sitter, or maybe you need to bring your kids with you to the gym. Whatever the case might be, if you know that your kids if you can see that in a couple months there's going to be a change in your schedule, and if you can kind of work out what you would do to avoid dropping out, that would be in your best interest. My suggestion here is that you try to foresee into the future what could come up. Because a lot of times people think, well, it's like summertime, and I'm going to have a lot more time now, but it ends up being that you have more obligations. And not only that, but there's other things that happen, right? Because when seasons change, there's other things that come up. So it's not just the stay-at-home mom who now has to take care of the kids, it's also, and can't come in, it's also the family that tends to go on a lot of vacations or has their kids in sports during the summer or has just other obligations. You're gonna need to find a way to work around those things because your health should, and I hope, is still a priority to you. Otherwise, you'll run into this seasonal dropout disorder and have to wait until a couple months from then you get back on track. And then what happens sometimes, and people don't know this, but they'll go through cycles of this. So they'll start off the year doing really well, they'll drop out for like 2 or 3 months, they'll get back on track, then something else will come up and they'll drop back out. And sometimes that happens the moment that the school year starts. So maybe in your head you're thinking, well, once the kids get back to school, I can get back on track and start getting ready for, getting my body ready or something. The only thing is that maybe you don't realize that your little Billy has a flute class or a trumpet class or whatever, a trumpet class or whatever that you're gonna have to take him to in the school year, all right? And you didn't foresee that because Billy signed up for that without telling you, or maybe you just don't remember that you have to take care of that because you're a busy person, and aren't we all? So my recommendation in this situation is that you recognize that anytime that there's a change in a season, that there is a really good opportunity for you to rise to the occasion and try to solve that issue and find another way to work around it. I know that this is going to require a lot of flexibility. Say that you like working out at 9 o'clock a.m. And that's something that's really doable for you for a couple months. But then something comes around and you've been really consistent, but then something comes around. For some reason, you just can't come in at 9 a.m. because your kids are at home and you gotta watch them, right? Maybe you need to come in a little bit earlier. But I'm not a morning person. Well, what about later? Oh no, later I gotta spend time with the family and do stuff. What about a little bit like less than later, like around 4 or something like that? No, I still gotta be with the family. Well, now we're being inflexible. And so, what is it gonna be? Are we gonna pursue the goal? Are we gonna try to find a way to work around it? Or are we gonna let life work on us? Are we gonna let this seasonal disorder of dropping out dominate your life? Because your life will always be followed by these cycles. And I promise you that if the simple change in your schedule at work or with your kids, derails you, time and time again, other things will derail you. A while ago, I had someone come in and they were telling me, it's a funny thing, they were telling me that, she was complaining to her daughter for years. She'd been complaining to her daughter that, she was the reason that she had gained all this weight. That ever since pregnancy, she couldn't, manage to lose the baby weight. And because her body was different and just things were different and yada, yada, yada. And I get that. I wholeheartedly understand and I support you. And then one day her daughter told her this. She said, "Mom, you've been saying this, I'm 20, what is it?" She said, "Mom, I'm 25. You've been using my birth as an excuse for your weight gain for 25 years. Don't you think it's time that we get past that?" And so you see my point here? That if you don't find a way to work around it, it's just going to keep working you. If you don't find a way to work through your schedule and make the time for yourself, that you're always going to be at the whim of the changes of the schedule and at the whim of other people's times and at the whim of your lack of ability to work with the schedule that you're given right now. Because, after all, it's not about your schedule or about your time, it's about what you do with it. And if the President of the United States has time to work out, if Richard Branson, I've brought this up before, has time to work out, the owner of Virgin Mobile, and if all these people have the time to work out despite their crazy schedules, people like Mark Zuckerberg works out, the owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, those people work out. He's in pretty good shape. If those people have the time to work out, I bet you can work out with the schedule that you've got. You can make it happen. Don't let seasonal dropout disorder change your awesome routine of getting in health and taking care of your fitness. You just have to be flexible about when you go into the gym when the season changes, and have an eye for the future. Realize that the schedule won't always be the same way that you want it. It won't always be the way that it is right now, that it might change. All right, people, thank you so much for tuning in to the Total Body Training Podcast. Until next time, peace.